So he did it again. A comedy, tragedy, danger zone time. The guy, Joe Biden, is clearly losing his connection with reality. I mean, I think that's fairly obvious at this point. Folks, I want you to watch this video. He's trying to give out a website for people trying to scam, the student loan, the new student loan disaster he's trying to put out there. And instead of just giving the website like we would, Bongino.com, he proceeds to spell it out. Bongino, D-O-T. Can't with this guy, folks. Check this out.
Get any questionable calls, please tell us by going to report fraud, DOTFTC.gov.
Now, again, what do you think? It's only a matter of time for fact checkers. No, he wasn't spelling it out. There was a previous version of the website.
Oh.
It was reportfraud.com. And it's only about Bill McCarthy and Tom Kircher, Louis Jacobson. They're working on a fact check right now because there's a couple of things you cannot do online without some sleazebag fact checker trying to engage in Soviet agitprop to stop you. Two things you can't do online. Yes. Yeah, I didn't even have to say it. He's like, you cannot, no, you can criticize Biden. You can't criticize Biden's mental fitness. Anything like him appearing on stage to shake a hand that doesn't exist, wandering around appearing lost, anything like that, a fact checker will immediately jump in and pretend he's in Biden's head and knows what Biden was thinking. The fact checkers will be on this instantly, and you definitely can't criticize anything COVID. So you were right, but you got to be more precise. You can criticize Biden, you just can't criticize the man's obviously failing cognitive health. All right, moving on. I figured I'd start with that because the guy, again, only has his finger on the nuclear codes in the middle of the biggest nuclear crisis we've had since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And nobody seems to think that's a big deal, except me, Joe Gee, and the conservative talking head ecosystem out there. Okay, so again, talk about the Biden team hypocrisy. It is so in your face when it comes to COVID. The Wall Street Journal had this great piece up the other day about how Biden keeps picking and choosing their COVID pandemic policy. Whether COVID's an emergency or not, again, they're anti-communist, remember that. Depends on what side of the issue you're on any given day. If this doesn't make sense, guys, stop me immediately. Whatever side us, the anti-communists, are on immigration, student loans, the left will change their definition of a COVID emergency just to stop you. The piece makes this great point in the Wall Street Journal about how the other day HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, obviously under the Biden administration, re-upped the COVID emergency again. They did. Didn't Biden just 3 weeks ago do an interview on 60 Minutes? We played the cut, folks, for you, where Biden said the pandemic is over. You heard it. I played it on the show. So how is it that HHS, Health and Human Services, is now re-upping the COVID emergency, even though they just said on a 60 Minutes interview, Biden, that it's over? Well, we're the anti-communists. We don't like government-run healthcare because we think it's rationing. So what happened? Well, HHS, during COVID, made put a little edict in place that while the COVID emergency is happening, you can't kick people off the Medicaid rolls who may make a decent amount of money. Medicaid was for the poor. It's not for people in the middle and upper middle class. So it expanded government healthcare. The minute the HHS declares that the emergency's over, those people can be removed from the Medicaid roll. Collectivists don't want that. They love the idea of people being on government-run medicine. Anti-communists like us don't like that. We like free market medicine, which is better. Nobody wants government insurance. So HHS says, nope, emergency's back on. But the piece says this is really weird. Because a couple of weeks ago with the student loan thing, they said that, yes, the emergency's back on again, too. We need the emergency to justify a student loan welfare program, which is even weirder because just months before that, they said there was no emergency at the border, COVID emergency. So they needed to scrap Title 42, which stopped people from coming in temporarily because of the COVID emergency. They scrapped that and said, no emergency, let him in. So just to re-up this, Biden 60 minutes, no COVID emergency. Biden HHS, COVID emergency. Open borders, Title 42, COVID emergency's over. Student loans, COVID emergency, right back on.
Weird.
It's so weird. No principles at all. Ever. Ever. If you enjoyed